Good evening, friends. As always, thanks for your valuable comments on my videos on Twitter, and Twitter. I make sure that I read all of them and post them on social media. I was not keeping very well yesterday, hence I could not come on air. I'm much better today. If you enjoyed this video, please press the bell icon, subscribe and share it to others. Thank you. Two of the most important things that Modi has done remarkably well during the Chinese virus is not mentioned by mainstream media or fake media, or call them whatever you want, prostitutes. First is that Modi pressing for the vaccine patent waivers on a world stage shows how much he cares for the needy who cannot afford expensive vaccines. The waiver will help in the production of more COVID vaccines, helping ease the situation globally. In fact, during the EU summit on Saturday, several EU leaders individually thanked India for medical supplies it provided last year while Europe battled the pandemic. All the EU leaders extended solidarity and support to the people of India and the government amid the COVID crisis. Second, very important point is that fake paid media, mainstream media will never mention is that India's COVID vaccine rollout actually rescued the world. And we need to hear this from a top US scientist, Dr. Hotes, an internationally recognized physician, scientist in neglected tropical diseases and vaccine development, and not our own media. He said that the COVID-19 vaccine rollout is India's gift to the world in combating the virus. The rollout of the COVID-19 vaccines by India in collaboration with leading global institutions has rescued the world from the deadly coronavirus, and the contributions by the country must not be underestimated, a top American scientist has said. India is called the pharmacy of the world during the COVID-19 pandemic with its vast experience and deep knowledge in medicine. The country is one of the world's biggest drug makers, and an increasing number of countries have already approached it for procuring coronavirus vaccines. These words make us very proud. Dr. Peter Hotes, Dean of the National School of Tropical Medicine at Baylor College of Medicine in Houston, during a recent webinar, said that the two mRNA vaccines may not impact the world's low and middle income countries, but India's vaccines, made in collaboration with universities across the world, such as BCM and the Oxford University, have rescued the world, and its contributions must not be underestimated. During the webinar, COVID-19 vaccination and potential return to normalcy, if and when Dr. Hotes, an internationally recognized physician, cum scientist in neglected tropical diseases and vaccine development, said that the COVID-19 vaccine rollout is India's gift to the world in combating the virus. India's drugs regulator gave emergency use authorization to Covishield produced by Pune-based Serum Institute of India after securing license from British pharma company AstraZeneca and Covaxin, indigenously developed jointly by Hyderabad-based Bharat Biotech and Indian Council of Medical Research Scientists. The webinar was organized by Indo-American Chamber of Commerce of Greater Houston. This is something very special, and I see it myself because I am on a weekly teleconference with our colleagues in India. You make a recommendation and within days it's done. And not only done, but it's done well and with incredible rigor and thought and creativity. Dr. Hotes said, stressing that he felt compelled to make the statement because India's huge efforts in combating global pandemic is a story that's not really getting out in the world. Dr. Hotes, considered as the authority on vaccinations, is working on an affordable coronavirus vaccine in collaboration with Indian pharmaceutical companies. There is increasing evidence that vaccines not only interrupt symptomatic illness and keep you out of the hospital, but halts asymptomatic transmission as well. However, the troubling news is that the vaccines work well against the UK B117 variant, which is now accelerating across the US, but doesn't work quite as well against the variant coming out of South Africa. It is likely that all the vaccines will require a booster for two reasons: the durability of protection for the vaccines is unknown and to create an added immune response that's better tailored towards the South African variant. Consul General of India in Houston, Aseem Mahajan, along with the distinguished panel of doctors, participated in this webinar that tracked the possibilities of a return to some semblance of normality due to the accelerated rollout of vaccines across the country. Appreciating Dr. Hotes for commending India's efforts in getting vaccines to the world, Consul General Mahajan said, in keeping with our tradition of sharing with the world, India has exported vaccines to many countries across the world. India has provided 56 lakh doses of coronavirus vaccines under grants assistance to a number of countries. The vaccines were sent to Sri Lanka, Bhutan, Maldives, Bangladesh, Nepal, Myanmar, and Seychelles. There has also been a boost in the collective medical partnership emerging between the US and India during this pandemic. In addition, India is one of the fourth largest destinations in Asia for medical devices manufacturing, and many US companies have expressed interest in collaborating on this front, Mr. Mahajan said. So friends, this is something you will not hear from the mainstream media, but this is something we should thank our Prime Minister for doing. Meanwhile, in the Sushant Singh case, the Narcotics Control Bureau has arrested a drug peddler in Goa in connection with the drugs case linked to Bollywood actor Sushant Singh Rajput's death. The accused, Hemal Shah, was nabbed by a team of the anti-drug agency. He said Shah's alleged involvement came to light during the investigation of a drugs case linked to Sushant Singh Rajput's death. Accordingly, a trap was laid and Shah was apprehended in Goa, he said, adding that he will be produced before a court later in the day. The NCB had launched a probe into the alleged use of drugs in the film and entertainment industry after Rajput was found dead at his home in Mumbai in June last year. NCB also arrested an ex-army officer from Zambia with heroin worth rupees 26 crores. The Mumbai Zonal Unit of Narcotics Control Bureau arrested a former army official of Zambia from Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj International Airport, Mumbai, and seized more than 4 kilos of heroin worth approximately rupees 26 crore hidden in the cavities of his trolley bag. The accused, Kenneth Mulawa, 42, is a retired army officer from Lusaka, Zambia. He traveled from Addis Ababa in Ethiopia to Dubai, from Dubai to Delhi, and then his visa. In order to evade getting caught while traveling with the bag with contraband, he deliberately left it at the Dubai airport and arrived in Mumbai via Delhi. He then lodged a missing bags complaint at CSMIA and went to a hotel in Juhu for stay. As NCB officers had already received inputs about Mulawa's suspicious involvement in drugs trafficking, they kept a close watch on his movements from airport to hotel and hotel to airport for 2 days. On Friday, when Mulawa arrived at the airport entry area to collect his bag, he was apprehended by the NCB officers. On examining the bag, the NCB team found 3 packets of heroin weighing around 4 kilos from hidden cavities. They seized drugs could have come from Afghanistan, said NCB investigators. The accused is a Zambian ex-army officer and was injured in combat operation. He retired from the army on medical grounds. His wife and 4 children live in Lusaka. This was the 3rd time Mulawa had arrived in India, and we are checking if he smuggled drugs on his previous visits, said Samir Wankhede, Zonal Director of NCB. African drug traffickers, according to NCB, are no longer using ordinary citizens as mules and are roping in ex-army personnel for trafficking narcotics as they are trained professionals and are hard to crack during investigation, Wankhede said. The senior Indian Revenue Services officer added that amid the extensive crackdown by anti-narcotics agencies on African nationals trafficking cocaine, drug rackets have now switched to smuggling heroin, mostly cultivated in Afghanistan, and bringing it to India via the air route. The usual route of smuggling heroin has mostly been from Afghanistan to Pakistan and then to India through the porous border, or from Afghanistan to Pakistan, then to Sri Lanka by sea route. It is smuggled in India mostly via Chennai, Wankhede said. According to NCB officers, due to COVID-related movement restrictions imposed across various nations, The demand of heroin, a highly addictive narcotic, has increased, and thus its rate has already gone up. The drug now costs around rupees 6 crores per kilo in the illicit market. Meanwhile, in the Janvi Kukreja murder case, something interesting has come out. The main accused, Sri Jogdankar, files a second bail application, says charge sheet itself shows that he was not at the spot during the murder. Sri Jogdankar, 22, the main accused in the New Year Eve murder case of 19-year-old Janvi Kukreja, has filed a second bail application before the Sessions Court and said that the charge sheet filed by the Khar police itself shows that he was not at the spot of crime at the time of the incident and that he was at Zion Hospital. His plea pointed out that as per the police's Panchanama of the CCTV footage of Bhagwati Heights, Khar, where the incident took place, the applicant was seen going out of a building at 2:16 p.m. In Zion Hospital, the CCTV footage shows he was there between 2 a.m. and 2:51 a.m. It condemned how one person can be at two places at the same time, and said the CCTV footage of the hospital is clear proof he was there at 2 a.m. and that the building CCTV has been tampered. The plea filed through the advocate, Mahesh Vaswani, said the Khar police has cooked up a story and is trying to shield the real culprit and that he appears to be the fall guy. Sri Jogdankar further said he was himself brutally assaulted by some persons at the New Year's party while he was sitting at the steps exiting the terrace of the building where the party was held. He was under the influence of alcohol and he could not remember who all assaulted him, and that out of the severe pain and fear, he had left the spot to save his life. There is a strong possibility, he said, that there was a third person or persons who may be assailants of the deceased, and there is a strong possibility he got injured while trying to save her. Jogdankar had suffered head injuries, rib fractures, and spinal cord dislocation. His plea has stated that and said that the police had not probed the role of the party organizer and the guests in assaulting him. It said at worst, the case could be one of rash and negligent act towards the deceased, or one that happened at a spur of a moment and not one of murder. He was a close friend of hers, and he said he had no motive or provocation to murder her, as the police has alleged. Have you noticed, viewers, Bollywood now has hopped on to another strategy of whitewashing their profiles, which is by donating anything from 1 crore to 2 crores to various causes. It all started with Akshay Kumar donating rupees 1 crore to Gautam Gambhir's foundation to help people affected by COVID-19. And Gautam was over the moon. This cricketer turned politician took to Twitter to call him a ray of hope in the current situation. Akshay replied to Gambhir and wrote that he is glad that he could help. So whitewashing number 1 started with Gambhir. Second was Anushka and Virat Kohli's 2 crores via keto. Anushka took to Instagram to share an update about the fundraiser they conducted in collaboration with Keto. And they posed with grave faces that could make even the dead come alive. Now, Big B is the third person who donates 2 crores to Rakabganj Sahib Gurudwara and not to PMK's fund. Scared of attack on social media, this clever man, he took to his blog to give a list of his philanthropy work. Till now, Amitabh Bachchan has never spoken about the kind of charity he has done. Now, why is he trying to show that he has done so much of charity? Is he scared of something, or is he hiding something? Much like the question we asked day before yesterday, whether Bill Gates is a philanthropist or a schemer. Here too, I would ask the same question. Bollywood boycott continues, and the 2 Crore Club cannot do anything. Now, I'm sure this young budding politician, son of a dynasty, would never have expected such words from anyone. So when the shrewd businesswoman, Kiran Majumdar, said she is super impressed with Mumbai's model, it is important, check out Aditya Thackeray's reaction. Her words came out as a whitewashing spree for a man who is still in the eye of the storm in the Sushant Singh death case. Biocon founder Kiran Majumdar Shah on Monday lauded the Brihan Mumbai Municipal Corporation BMC for its management of the second COVID-19 wave. Taking to Twitter, she said that she studied the Maharashtra and BMC model of decentralized COVID-19 management, and she's super impressed with its uniquely thought out process. I just studied the Maharashtra and BMC model of decentralized COVID management, and I'm super impressed with its uniquely thought out process. Kudos to Office of UT and my BMC and its dynamic Iqbal Singh Chahat. The whole country should follow these COVID beating methods, she tweeted. One thing I've noticed about Kiran Shaw is that she never has a kind word for our Prime Minister. Meanwhile, Maharashtra Tourism and Environment Minister Aditya Thackeray thanked Kiran Shaw and said, "Thank you, ma'am, for the kind words. The model came about with the passion to safeguard our citizens in all honesty." Earlier, the Supreme Court had praised the BMC for its handling of the COVID-19 situation in Mumbai, noting its efforts taken in curbing the infection and judicious oxygen supply in the city. The Apex Court also asked the Centre and the Health Secretary of the Delhi government to draw experience from BMC Commissioner Iqbal Singh Chahat. Friends, all this is happening when the Mahavikas Aghadi, which is the Shiv Sena-led Mahavikas Aghadi, has given the people of Maharashtra more than 1 million reasons to complain about its incompetence in dealing with the crisis situation. Ever since it came to power in November 2019, it has been stumbling from one crisis to another. Last year, Maharashtra found itself reeling under the COVID pandemic. Unkempt promises to farmers affected due to unreasonable rainfall and cyclone, people facing electricity supply cuts for defaulting payment of hiked bills by the state's power supplier, rising atrocities against women, the unresolved issue of reservation for OBCs and Marathas, the Sachin Waze episode, etc. The government's move of transferring Mumbai's former top cop and Waze's superior Paramveer Singh to the Home Guards in the wake of the series of events raises eyebrows, especially since Singh alleged that Home Minister Anil Deshmukh had demanded Waze to collect rupees 100 crores from 1,750 pubs in Mumbai every month. Also, the government could not respond adequately when asked about the death of Mansukh Hiren, whose car laden with explosives was found suspiciously parked outside Mukesh Ambani's residence. The government handed over the case to the Anti-Terrorist Squad, ATS, which comes under the State Home Department. On one hand, the government wasted no time reinstating Waze. On the other, it took almost a year and a half to respond to the demands of teachers in government unaided schools. Last year, farmers from Marathwada and Vidarbha eagerly awaited government financial aid after they suffered huge losses due to heavy rains and floods. Uddhav Thackeray had, before becoming the chief minister, assured them a huge relief package per hectare to these farmers. But ultimately, the farmers barely received rupees 10,000 per hectare. Then there's the alleged suicide of 22-year-old Pooja Chavan with alleged connections with the Sena minister. This case too has been let out lightly by the government. In this context, one must ask the question from the 2016 Mahesh Manjrekar directed Nana Patekar starring film, in which he says, "Can someone lend me a home?" Today, people from Maharashtra are looking forward to having a corruption-free, stable government, which in the truest sense will be one of the people, for the people, and by the people. So, sorry to Kiran Majumdar, this all this praise just does not work because people can see through the Mahavikas Aghadi. Meanwhile, the Delhi court denies interim relief to the owner of restaurants from where oxygen concentrators were seized. Businessman Navneet Kalra has been accused of black marketing oxygen concentrators in the national capital, and the Delhi police have also issued a lookout notice against him. A Delhi court on Monday refused to grant stay on coercive action against businessman Navneet Kalra's anticipatory bail application, which will now be heard on Tuesday. Kalra has been accused of black marketing oxygen concentrators in the national capital. Additional Sessions Judge Sumit Das was supposed to hear the anticipatory bail plea filed by Kalra, but the police asked for a day's time from the court to file a reply in the matter. Additional Public Prosecutor Atul Srivastava also told the court that the case may be heard in a different court since the investigation has been transferred to the crime branch. The court ordered the investigating officer of the case to be present in court on Tuesday, along with a copy of the reply. When the prosecutor had asked the court whether there was any stay on coercive action against Kalra, since his application will be taken up tomorrow, the court said it was not granting any relief. Delhi police on Monday issued a lookout circular against Kalra, who owns the 3 establishments, including Khan Chacha in Khan Market, from where police recovered oxygen concentrators. That's all the news for today, friends. Let's see what are the kind of comments that you had today. Hello, Nancy, sir. Hello, Ishma. Welcome, Lena. Hi, Ranjita. Joan, hello, Meena man. Hope you're keeping well. Take care of your health. Stay. Yes, for a day I was not well. I'm back to being a little bit better today. Anand, only God can save India. No, all of us are working together. I'm sure it will become better, Anand. Ranjita, yes, ma'am, there's so much good also happening, but the sold out media will not mention it. Yeah, see, if you have seen this news anywhere else, we'll all be surprised. Nobody wants to spread any good news about what our Prime Minister is doing for the country. Hello, Ramata. Anand, one famous economist, Dr. Galbraith, once said, I never believed in God, but after staying in India, I believe in God. Anand, there are a lot of good people working for the betterment of India. It's not that, see, everybody's given up. And there are a lot of patriots also putting their hands together to make it better. But then you've always seen that evil always, has the upper hand, especially when people are greedy for money. And in India, our biggest problem is the greedy media. They can be sold for any amount of money. Nancy Sud, in case of fake that. Yes, I noted that, Nancy Sud. Parul, good evening. But where the money goes from Keto is now known to everyone. So it's in fact not a donation, but absolutely. And if you see the people who are behind it, Nancy Sud, you'll know that where it all goes to. Thank you, Sushma. We are with you. Justice for Sushant Singh Rajput. Justice for Disha Salian, we're waiting. Yes, it will come, Sushma. We are all patiently waiting for that. And let's continue, keeping the, topic afloat so that, the authorities also realize that we're very serious. All our thali mein chhed. Believe it? Yes, absolutely, Ranjita. Ranjit, boycott Bollywood, yes. Sonam, namaste. Namaste, sir. Nancy Sud, but despite all these crimes and mismanagement and corruption of three-ring circus, no president ruled there, even after the Antilla case. And HM had to resign and FIR was filed on him. Yes, this is something very disappointing for all of us. Vandana, Kalra is culprit. Catch him. Yes, I hope they will. We are with Modi ji. Hi, Ritu. Good evening. Divine Living Trends, wishing speedy recovery. Don't know how all people of criminal mentality have come together. Yes, they join hands so fast, Divine. Nancy Sue, good to know you're better today. You do look it. Yes. Yet you have come to give us news. Thank you. Take care. Thank you, Nancy Sue. You don't know how much I enjoy seeing all your comments, and it gives me so much of motivation. Wanda Kumar, see Ulti Khopri Divya Bharti murder video. Yes, see, here I'll tell you, friends, that see, one of the YouTubers who speaks, of course, in Hindi, but I enjoy watching is Ulti Khopri. So it's good if we could all watch that. Prakash. Wanda Kumar, ma'am, please see. Yes, yeah, I usually watch his videos and they're pretty good. Animesh Bhai, good evening. Sonam, take care, ma'am, and my best wishes. Thank you, Sonam. Really required. Varun, your prediction for Telangana 2021 and UP 2022? No, still, I'm not sure of that. Ma'am, what's happening in the name Kisan Andolan Tikti border? Here also, I'm not, updated on this, Divine. Let me check and we'll get back on in the next session. Ma'am, an important guest has come with the name AT, but retracted all his messages. Nancy Su. Yeah. Thank you so much, Nancy Su. And that's all for today, friends. Then I'll see you again tomorrow with something interesting or an interesting personality will join us. Good night.